Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name's Jade. Welcome. Today's video is going to be a little bit more on the dark side, hence why I've paired it with a little everyday makeup routine for you guys. I really delve in deep today and share my mental health story, pretty much my story, as to what's been going on, where I am today, and yeah. I've also got 4 dogs here at the moment, including Finn. So if you hear barking in the background, it's just them mucking around, but I will try my best to film in areas and upload where there is no barking. This is Pepe as well. So if you guys want to see how I achieve this look, also by sharing my story, keep on watching. If you guys just want to see the look, then I'm more than happy just for you to watch that. I know some of the things I say can be triggering, but I just want to let you guys know that I am always there for you, and my socials will be in the end card. If you do want to reach out and have a chat, I am always there for you guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this week's video. Okay, I'm going to put this headband on so then my makeup doesn't get in my hair. I've already also done my skincare for this morning. If you guys want a more in-depth, I guess, tutorial on what I do for my morning and night skincare, then just let me know and I'd be more than happy to throw it into a video somewhere. I am looking here because this is where my mirror is. Okay, so like I said, I've already done my skincare, so all I'm going to use now is the All Day Hydrator by Sephora. This is a moisturizer and a primer in one. I find it helps the makeup stick to my skin really well, and it lets out this nice glow underneath. So this is why I use that. I don't use very much of it. And the last thing I put on my face to help prime is the Professional primer that helps blurs out my blemishes and all my pores on my skin. This is by Benefit. I do only have the mini version because we're not all made of money. And I just put this on my T-zone and any extra areas that need some help. So now that my face is all primed, we can now start putting on the makeup. So because this is only every day, I use the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint. This is new and I absolutely love this. I have tried other skin tints before that say they supposedly even out your skin tone, and they don't. So I use this. This works miracles for me. It's nice on the skin as well. Normally if I'm going out during the day or if I'm going somewhere fancy or at night, blah, 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 I'll use an actual foundation. But for today, we're just going to use this. Okay, so now that we're starting to do this, I will start my story. A little bit of a background information. I do inline speed skating. Inline speed skating is kind of like ice speed skating, except it's not on ice, obviously. It's on rollerblades and it's done outdoors on like netball courts or a bank track if you're a lucky country enough to have one. It's a little bit smaller than an outdoor cycling bank track, and yeah, I'll insert a video here for you. That's what I do. I started doing that back in 2014 at my local skating rink, which is, well, luckily only like 10 minutes down the road from my house. I just realized I'm missing an earring. So beginning of 2014, I was diagnosed with a severe spinal condition called scoliosis. For those of you who don't know what scoliosis is, it's a condition where your spine is not actually straight, but it like kind of bends like an S. If you guys want to, once again, want a video more about scoliosis and answering some questions about it, I'd be more than happy to sit down and answer some. When I had my channel 7 years ago, I actually sat down and just answered some questions, like some of the most frequently asked questions on Google. But yeah, if you guys want something like that, then just let me know and I'd be more than happy to. Around the time I was diagnosed with this, I was starting training. I was starting to get good. It became like a love of my life. I found out that I had to have the operation straight away, so I had to put my training and my skating on hold while I went and had my back operated on. So they inserted 2 titanium rods and 18 screws into my spine 6 weeks later, and I was off my skates for 3 months. I'm then going to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, only a little bit because this is not every day, and plus my skin has actually been really good recently. I used to have really bad breakouts, but we're good now. I'm just going to apply it here to help lift my eyes, on my forehead between my brows, on my chin, and a tiny dot under my nose. Okay, so 3 months later I was able to skate again, and my mum was like, no, you're not allowed to go fast. If you crash, like, who knows what could happen to your back, like, it's still fresh. Keep in mind that I had to learn to walk again. I had all these complications after surgery, like TMI, my bowel stopped working. I had to get knocked out again in the ICU, and had all my issues fixed because I actually ended up looking 9 months pregnant at the age of 13. Wasn't great. So I had to be careful, and yeah, if I crashed at the speeds that we can skate at, having only freshly had it put in, I don't know what would have happened. But me being me, I didn't listen, and I went into the race that they had at the general session that night, the first night I could skate again, and I just went flat out. So before all this started, I met my coach. His name was Alpha. It wasn't his name, but because we called him Alpha because he was like the alpha male, and also because of his name, he pretty much had every letter of the alphabet in his name. So it was Alpha or Alphabet. But he helped me start training, and 6 months later I was able to compete in our national championships, where I gained selection into the Australian team to go race over in New Zealand just a couple months after having major spinal surgery. Now that we've all concealed, I'm now going to go in with my first bronzer. This is the Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream by Chanel. Josh actually got me this for my birthday this year. This is what it looks like. I've used it quite a bit, but it's really pretty, and it brings a healthy sun-kissed kind of glow to your skin. I'm just going to use my beauty blender and apply that to my face. Okay, so I actually finished putting the bronzer on because my parents came in and they wanted to play with the dogs that we currently have, so that's why it's finished. So I have a couple different powders that I use. I have the Laura Mercier Translucent Honey one, which adds a bit more colour to my face, but I'm kind of happy with how it is today, so I'm just going to use the Peach Perfect setting powder, and I will just put it in the parts that I really just put concealer. Okay, so the reason I told you about the skating is that I just had to really introduce you to Alpha because there isn't really much to do with the skating. You've also met Josh. Josh and I have been together for 3.5 years now. I guess you could say time flies when you're having fun. So we met when I was 16, Josh had just turned 17. And that's another part, but I'm gonna go way, way back now. Growing up, I had no real sturdy relationship with friends or even some family. Every person, I guess you could say, I called my best friend, we always ended up drifting apart, or they moved away and I was left by myself. Hence why growing up through primary school, I was always best friends with the boys, played with the boys, handball, soccer. Boys are easier to get along with than girls. Next, I'm going to take my Hoola by Benefit bronzer in the mini, because once again, I do not have a lot of money. And I'm just going to apply this lightly to where I put the Chanel bronzer. So yeah, I had no real sturdy friends that stuck around for a long time. And when I was 8, my parents, they got divorced and my dad moved to Queensland. It's good now that I'm doing skating. We have competitions up on the Gold Coast every 2 years, so I can see my dad every 2 years really, unless he comes down here or I go up there, but that hasn't been able to happen yet because COVID. Even though COVID didn't exist 6 years ago that we know of, just money was always an issue with both of us. But I still have a good relationship with my dad. I talk to him a couple times on the phone a week. Next, I'm going to take my Naked by Urban Decay Flushed palette. This is a triple palette with a bronzer, highlighter and a blush. I used to use all three, but I've kind of moved on, and now I'm just going to use the blush. So I didn't know until like the past year or two that growing up and having friends and family constantly leaving me has actually scarred me to this day, and I've actually developed separation anxiety. And any person I come close to, I always have trouble leaving, even if it's a toxic friendship. I always struggle to ditch them because like I just can't leave them. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to have the feeling of losing someone else again. I'm sorry if the camera keeps moving as well. You're sitting on a book and the pages are opening. I'm just going to change the angle because that might actually help a little bit. So I'll talk to you for a little bit longer before we move on because we're actually almost done. I don't have a notepad, so I'm just trying to remember as best as I can. We'll start off at the end of 2019. I've always had a great relationship with my parents, with my family, grandparents, cousins. End of 2019 was just the start of the shitfest. 2019 on New Year's Day, we go away up to the Central Coast for a week. This year was 70 years since we started going up there as a family. That's with second cousins, all that. It's like a family thing. My nan, she was always very brutal. She'd cough and she'd break her back. So she was getting really uncomfortable. She broke her back while she was up there once again just by coughing. So my mum drove her back home and she had to go to hospital, and she was in and out of hospital for most of the year. In total, she was home for 90 days of 2019 because she was just always in hospital. But when they were leaving our holiday spot, my nan said to my mum, "This is going to be the last time I come up here, isn't it?" And that just kind of hits home for everyone. Like, we didn't know, but it was. My nan was in and out of hospital with her back. She always had constant pneumonias. And also she randomly developed this condition that we don't actually know of, but out of nowhere her heart rate would start racing and got over 200 beats a minute. We don't know why. It would last for like a minute or so and then it would just drop back to normal. They ended up figuring out the cause of that was a lung infection, which my nan was prone to lung infections, but this one was just more deadly than the others. 3/4 of her lungs on an x-ray were just white with cloud. We ended up moving my nan into a nursing home in July of 2019. Because I actually got my eyebrows laminated and tinted 2 weeks ago now, I don't really need to do anything with them. Normally I would just bring an eyebrow gel through them, but because they're tinted, that's fine. My eyebrows are normally full and shaped anyway, so I'm just going to use this spoolie and brush them upwards. Also, another backstory, we had a dog at the time. Her name was Lily. She's a cavoodle. She had been constantly being treated for diabetes and was on insulin morning and night. September of 2019, on the 22nd at 6:20 in the evening, my nan passed away. Losing a loved one is never what you want to go through. Finley, are you eating grass? Finley has an obsession with bringing sticks inside. That day was kind of a mess. I was going, because I also do inline hockey, which is like ice hockey but on rollerblades. I was actually travelling to Adelaide to play in the national tournament a week later. So we had team photos going down at the rink. And I was like, no, I don't want to leave. What if something happens? And my pa and my mum were like, "Oh, your nan wouldn't want you to not be in the team photo. Just go. I'm like, okay. So I went down there, got ready. Turns out the team photo wasn't on. So I was like, okay, I'm down here, I'm changed, I'm on my skates, got all my gear on. I might do one drill and then I'll head back to the nursing home. And I did. And as soon as I got off the rink, I called mum, like, how's she going? Like, she's not going to be here much longer. If you're going to come, be quick. I'm like, okay. Just threw my gear off, and as I was leaving, which was not even 2 minutes later, my mum called back and said she's passed. She actually took her last breath when I was on the phone to her prior. So I wasn't there, but I also was there in a way. And I know it's bad to say I regret going, but I only regret going because that team photo didn't actually end up happening. So the funeral was a week later. We went to the funeral. We flew out that night to go to Adelaide, so I left the funeral and went straight to the airport. So because this is only an everyday look, I'm going to take my Hoola by Benefit bronzer and I'm going to put that in the crease of my eyes. Adelaide was okay. We ended up placing third, which was quite good for a team that has never played together before. We had people from Tasmania, Victoria, South Australia, New South Wales playing on our team. So we did good. I'm also just going to contour the sides of my nose while I'm at it and just join that into the crease. So I got home, I was home for about a week and exactly a month to the date, my dog passed away that I mentioned had diabetes. She passed away because she caught pancreatitis, which is very, it's very common for dogs with diabetes. Like their pancreas can't function and do that stuff anymore. I'm now going to take my Morphe by James Charles palette and use Face and Ring Light, which is this one and the one at the top, and use that for my highlight. That was hard enough. What can you do in that situation? Nothing much really, except just continue to live. So then the bushfires hit at the beginning of November of 2019. I wasn't affected, however Josh was. Josh and his dogs ended up moving into our place for a week, I think it was. The fire crossed their street and got the neighbour's house, but Josh ended up being okay, which was lucky enough. The fires were happening and then the first case of COVID we heard about the beginning of December, I think it was. We went to nationals in Melbourne for speed skating in the January school holidays. It was good, I did okay, blah blah blah. Came back, I started a new job. It was at a physiotherapy and it had a 2-hour lunch break. So I was able to go into the gym that they had for free access, and I was in the gym. I was getting my body fit and toned because I really wanted to make the world's team the following year and be like, you guys bumped me out of the world's team in 2018. I'm getting my spot back. A week after I started my new job, I just came back from lunch break and I got a phone call from someone that I'm friends with and I'm mates with because he also does speed skating, but I don't talk to him on the phone. So I was a bit confused and I missed it because I was at work. And he sent me a message saying, when I can I please call him back? So I saw it and I'm like, oh, something must be important. So I said to the lady I was working with, I'm like, I've got an important phone call. Can I just quickly take it outside? She's like, of course, take it. I called him back and he said that tragically that morning my coach Alpha had passed away. He was found slumped over on the side of the road. And you might be like, it's your coach. It happens. Alpha was more of a best friend than a coach. He had been there for me for 6 years and it wasn't just the coaching side. Like we'd go do stuff like as a group, go bowling after a skating session, we'd all go up to Macca's, or we'd go, like we'd talk shit like about what he did when he was younger, and he was into cars because I'm into cars, and he would just be like, oh, don't do this, don't do what I did, and tell me a stupid story about one time he had a Lotus and went under a semi-trailer because but yeah, that was within all of those 3 deaths of people close to me happened within 5 months. That was when I started needing to get some help. I wasn't functioning. I just was caught in a slump. I'm like, I can't take anymore. And I turned to self-harm. And I was just a mess. But the one thing I wanted to do is I made a promise to him that I would make that world's team. So I kept my butt in the gym, I kept skating. Then COVID hit in March. It was my birthday. When COVID hit and it was in lockdown, I was training by myself and I injured my knee. And because of my back, I've always had the utmost problems with my legs. My back is still twisted in my lower spine. My pelvis is rotated. One leg's longer than the other, one's more in front than the other one, one's higher than the other one. Like, this is just my pelvis being twisted, and because of that I've got tendon problems in my knees. My knees don't work. I don't bend, like can't bend them without pain. I've got problems in my feet. It's just like this train reaction. And I injured my knee and was out in crutches for 9 weeks. And then because it was COVID and I didn't have a coach who could come out and help me, I kind of just gave up and felt like I gave up. And Josh came to me at the end of April, said he's joining the Navy and that he would be leaving in July for like down south in Jarvis Bay, which is on the coast. It's about 3 hours away from where we live. And the first month would be no contact at all. No calls, no phone, texts, emails, letters, nothing. For a month. And I said to him, like, you know all my issues. You know what's happened to me recently. How can you leave? How can you leave me after I've just had 3 of the closest people to me leave? And he was just like, I'm sorry, but I have to. Like, you don't have to. But I didn't want to be that person that was like, I'm going to stop you from doing your dream job. So Josh left. While he was away, I tried to commit. I'm not going to say what, because you guys should be able to figure out. I tried to commit. I was not healthy. Ever since then, I've just been messed up. I'll give you a break for a bit. I'm going to go in with my Morphe mascara. I keep looking at the name, thinking I will remember it, but I never do. This is a good mascara. And obviously I'm just going to apply it to my eyelashes. So after a month, I was able to see Josh again, but because of COVID, he couldn't come all the way back home. So I would leave work on a Friday. It was only for 2 weekends. I went down south. We stayed in a hotel together for just a weekend before he had to go back. First time I went down was okay. I only got to see him for a night. And he was so skinny. He lost like 16 kilos. And honestly, I felt like the big one in the relationship. Second weekend I went down, I don't know what happened. Trigger warning, maybe skip ahead 30 seconds or so. I locked myself in the bathroom in the shower and I started smacking my head against the wall and I concussed myself. Because I let my mental health get that low. Josh was freaking out. Like, that weekend wasn't good. And then I ended up in hospital, but because I didn't want to be admitted to the cycle ward, I was like, I slipped and fell in the shower. I didn't say that I did it myself or like, I didn't want to deal with it. Josh continued to be in the Navy. He graduated at the end of November of 2020 and he was here for 7 weeks before he was based in Watson's Bay in the city. In this time we worked out I need help. So I was still seeing my psychologist, but then we also like, I need help at home. And yeah, my parents are great, but we needed more. So Josh and I got Finley. We went halves in Finley. We got him from a place up in the inner west, but up north. He was expensive, but we went halves because we were just like, I've got part of him at home with me when Josh gets deployed for up to 6 months. Finley helps. He's helped a lot, and trust me, if I didn't have him, I don't know if I'd be here today. But yeah, we've somewhat been okay since, somewhat not, till a couple of weeks ago. I found out Josh is getting based in Cairns or Darwin from November this year. So I don't know if we're ready for round 2 or what will happen. But that is that. That is my story. Last thing, I'm going to go with the Sephora Glossed lipstick. Oh, it's like a lip gloss, sorry. And just apply that. It's only small because I got a lot of stuff from Sephora and it was like a reward thing I could get. And I actually ran out of setting spray, so I'm just going to leave that. I've got like this spray to help brighten your face up that I normally put on as well, which is from Mario Badescu. So I can take this off. And that is the finished look. Thank you guys for watching my everyday get ready with me, and let's be real, mental health talk. If you guys ever need help or someone to talk to, I am always free. My socials are in the end card, and just message me if you ever want to talk. I'm always there for you guys. I know what it's like. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.